Dietrich Fast, or Didi as he is known to his friends, is a World Poker Tour Champions Club member and a World Series of Poker bracelet winner to boot, so the lad knows his way around a poker table. In this episode of I Am High Stakes Poker, Dietrich talks about his working class background and how important it is that he stays loyal to his roots. He also talks about his filterless life and how that's made him a few enemies, but also a few beautiful friends, and a whole lot more on how he made it to the top table in high stakes poker. Dietrich Fast, how's it going?
Awesome.
Yeah,
best
good life?
Place to be.
You really like this place. Why do you like it then?
I was last year here. Actually, the year before, I got asked to come here as well, but I planned something different. The WSOP was right before, so I didn't go. And last year was awesome. The weather was awesome. This resort is awesome. It's just incredible experience. And then you can combine it with some high stakes poker. It's just fun.
Do you sometimes look in the mirror and think, oh, we get a bit spoilt on these tours?
Especially, I think this is one of the best hotels I've been so far. And then you feel a little bit spoiled for sure. But, you know, in other places, I really tried, like I was in Monte Carlo last week, trying to save some money, you know, that's always not easy to, what's worse, the money you pay to be close to the casino and have a short walk, for example. So I am for sure a little bit spoiled, but I know where I'm coming from. I played low stakes and micro stakes 10 years ago, and I think I'm all right. But I see a lot of people around me who spend tons of money and don't think like 10 or 20 years ahead.
You're here with your family as well. I mean, is that a bit strange? Like you're there at dinner, having dinner together, and then you say, "I'm just nipping off to play in a Hong Kong 2 million tournament. I'll be back later." I mean, is it a bit weird?
Actually, they're the parents of my girlfriend.
Yeah.
But it's still weird for sure. Like playing these high buy-ins. Other people work a year or maybe two for this amount of money. But I mean, that's how the business works. And I mean, other people are in charge of spending maybe 5 to 10 million of whatever product they try to sell, or you know what I'm saying? So that's still weird for them as well, right? They're handling with a lot of money, even if it's not theirs. And it's kind of the same here. I mean, it's not all my money, it's money from other investors as well.
I guess it's more weird for them than it is for you. For you, it's normal. For other people outside, it's a bit, what do you do?
Yeah, I just try to be in my own comfort zone with my bankroll management, and if that works out, and it does so far, I'm super relaxed and I'm not thinking about the money I lost or won for other people.
And it wasn't always like this. I mean, talk a little bit about your childhood and where you grew up and what life was like about then, because I know it's very different to the salubrious surroundings we're in today.
Yeah, that's true. I was born in Russia, in a kind of poor area. My parents had a little house with a small farm. They had a cow, they had a pig, and you know, this kind of traditional way of life maybe 200-300 years ago in other parts of this world, the modern world now. And but as soon as the wall falls in Germany, because we are Germans, we could go back to Germany, and then we were a big family, I think 200-300 people went to Germany at that time. And we lived in a small city in Germany, and they had to restart, my parents, so the education they had in Russia wasn't worth anything in Germany, so they had to start from zero. And but they worked their ass off for us, and now they live a nice life, have a house, have good jobs, and supported me and my sister a lot to study or do whatever we wanted to do.
How old was you when the Berlin Wall fell?
I was 4.
So you won't really remember much about it, huh?
Yeah, I don't. My remembers, like the stuff I remember is basically everything from Germany. And
are your parents the type that will sit you down or have sat you down in the past and talk to you about your history and what happened and
for
stuff?
sure. My father especially, he's talked a lot about us, so that we get a feeling like it's like I know about the Italians, for example, like family is so important to them, and I think it's my father educated us as well. Like family is always number one, and like this is the inner circle, and we need to protect each other, and then from there we can go on. So I think this is one big thing I learned, or he learned from his father, and probably his father from his father, and so on. So stuff like that he explained us in different occasions, like why it's so important to stick together. And yeah, I learned a lot from my parents.
It must have been a horrific moment for them, but those often the hardest times in your life, they kind of define who you are. They probably defined who your parents are. What are some of the hardest things that you've had to go through that has really kind of defined who you are as a man?
I think there was a period in my life where I was struggling a lot. I didn't end my study. Poker didn't run too well, and then in my family there was a big problem as well. Like my sister were struggling a lot, and so there was a lot of pressure from different sides, and that was like the time where I really grew up, and I think since then everything went better. My sister that's fine, their family's fine, and I'm all right as well now. So I think that was the time basically. I think 2011.
So how old was you then?
2011 I was 26.
And as a 26-year-old going through that kind of like that suffering, who did you have around you at the time to lean on or to talk to, or was you very alone?
I mean, I was the guy who was supporting someone weaker at that time, which was my sister. So I gave all my heart and everything I could to my sister to help her. So I tried to be the person she could lean on. So at that time, I couldn't tell her about my problems with poker, and it's not working out as well as I wished to be. And I didn't really talk about that with others, I think. So just tried to get out like step by step.
Does it come naturally to you to be the person who runs to someone's aid, or was it unfamiliar for you?
No one needed to push me. That was.
You're there because of your family bond.
Yeah, that was an important time, and I know she needed me, so I was there from the first second till the last.
And when you were younger and you were growing up in Germany, what visions of the future did you have? What did you want to be when you were growing up?
Pretty early, I realized that I'm not really good with my stuff. Like working with my hands, being like some instructor or whatever, So I knew I would be kind of a business thing. So I tried and went into a business, working at a company which like a forwarder. But I realized back then that it was tough for me as well to have a boss. My personality and a boss, it doesn't connect as well. Because I have always my own opinions, and usually it's the boss tells me what to do, but if I know this is wrong, I just tell them, and that's not how the world works. You need to tell them what they should do, but not like in a different way, So that's tough. Like this mechanics in this business world, I learned pretty quickly that's not something which suits me. So at that time, I just knew, okay, this is nothing for me. I tried to study, and then we go on from there. And yeah, I was kind of struggling in that period because I didn't know, after I'm done with studying, do I go working for a boss, he doesn't like me, I don't like him, and this is like, you will never be happy. So I knew probably I want to do something where I'm my own boss, right? So I tried some stuff, and poker was always my passion. I started, I think, end of 2005. like we have a small round of, they played 5-card, but back then they played 5-card with like 5 cent, 10 cent or something. And
This is live
with some friends, right?
Yeah.
That was my first time. I heard like that they play. I saw it on Eurosport, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I want to play this. And then I heard that my friends play, but they played 5-card, so I convinced them to play No Limit Hold'em one time, and then since then they never played 5-card again. So, and then from that moment, I just, my whole time I put into poker, but I really didn't get it started as others. I know other stories like Christoph Vogelsang, who within 1 month he was from micros to high stakes, right? And for me it took 5-6 years from being a losing player to being a break-even player. So, or maybe a marginal winner. And so that was something I dreamed of, but I didn't really thought that this wish would come true.
Going back to what you said about not having a boss or not wanting a boss and realizing that very early, and you said about how the world works a certain way and they want people to behave a certain way, but you don't always want to behave in that way. How has that affected you throughout life, both positively and negatively?
Yeah, I think I learned something about that last summer in Barcelona, where I met a new, I would say, I can call him now a friend, who was kind of surprised of my behavior, like the first 1-2 days we met each other, and he was kind of surprised that I'm just being so authentic, right? Like most people just have a mask in the beginning to be like being nice and having this mask, and then you will be for sure like the people will love you because you have this mask, right? But I don't wear any mask. Like I'm just try to be me, you know. And if there's something I want to say, I just say it. And so, of course, sometimes I regret stuff I'm doing or I'm saying, but that's how I am, right? And people love me for that or hate me, but it's pretty easy for me. There's like an easy filter, like so I surround people with me which likes me, and I think that's awesome. I don't care about the people who don't like me, you know. Is
that true though?
It is.
You don't care?
No, I don't care.
It doesn't bother you?
No, because it is like this since I'm 10, 11, 12. So back then it was already the same in school. Of course, back then it was way tougher because my personality wasn't as strong as I'm now. So you're 13 years old and in your class, maybe 5 guys. No, they didn't hit me, or they occasionally hated on me or whatever, or made fun of me, you know. Yeah. And that was way tougher for sure. But it was just being me, you know. And I was never everybody's darling. That's what I learned back then, and it's still the same. But I won't wear a mask. That's not me, you know.
Is that because your father sat you down and taught you about the importance of being authentic, or did something happen to you when you were younger that you had to kind of be this way?
I don't know why. It's just, I think it's just being me, and I learned that it is probably the harder way to be like that, but it is the way I want to live my life. And it, like, if I have a friend, it is a friend, you know. It's not, he knows what friend he has, you know. He knows exactly what he gets. I'm not saying A and to B, you know.
It also sounds like, before you get your friendship group, and you've obviously got a really good one now, it seems to me like it would also be lonely as well, because I'll ask you the question, what's going through your head when you're talking to people who are wearing their masks?
Always try to figure out like is it fake or not, you know, because there are other people who are authentic as well. I have a good example, like Sam Grafton is an awesome personality, and he's totally different. If you're one-on-one with him at a dinner, you can talk a lot of stuff with him, and it's awesome. I can learn a lot from him, and of course he's fun, you know, with his jokes and whatever, but for sure there are a lot of people who be authentic and be nice, and are not miserable and try to, I don't know, like waste your time.
How does the poker industry stand when it comes to authenticity and inauthenticity, in your opinion?
I mean, poker players are like this industry. We are the best of the best in this industry. So we, on the table, we fake. We do it all the time. So it's easy for us to do it. So why wouldn't you do it with your friends? If you think you gain some profit out of it, you know? For example, you are a way better player than me. Why not being super nice to you so I get some knowledge out of from you, you know? But, you know, that's not me, you know? I'm not being nicer to you just because you're a better poker player. I don't care if you're better or worse. If you're a nice person, I'm nice to you and we will have fun, you know? And if there's some poker content going on, one or the other will learn from the other person, and it's fine, you know, because they're friends. But I'm not nice to someone just because he's a better poker player. But I see that happening all year.
It's exhausting. I remember when I first came into the industry, I was always kind of like on my guard, like who can I trust, who is my friend and who is just being nice to me because they need to be nice to me. You know?
Yeah, people always think in edges. They always try to push. I mean, in some way it is like, I know why they do that. They want to surround themselves always with better and better and better, so they grow as well. But the person back then from the school who's now working wherever, you know, at McDonald's, for example, he's still a nice person. He can be still your friend. Like, yeah, you can't talk poker with him. You maybe can't talk politics with him because he isn't interested at all. You can talk sports or whatever, you know. It's still a nice person. You can be still friends. But people try just to forget this, what happened in the past 20 years and just try to improve, you know. And this is not all about that in life, I think.
I mean, virtually everybody who sits in that chair, I would say 99.9%, if not 100% of people who sits there opposite me will always point to having a good, strong group of really world-class top people in all different areas around them that allowed you to learn off them to get to where you are today. Very few people do it alone, right? Like, it's not like Dietrich, I did all this on my own, then I got here.
It's the same with me, but I wasn't pushing it, you know?
No.
There was like some coincidences. Like, I got to know someone and he knew someone and that's why I knew him, you know? And then we got along together and that's how it works. But it's not like that I tried to figure out, so what's the next person I can text to get some value, you know? That's bullshit.
That sounds like bullshit to me. But what doesn't sound like bullshit to me is like you're struggling in poker and then you say to yourself, right, I need to surround myself with better people. You know, you look at it and you think, I'm not surrounding myself with the right people. I need to surround myself with better people. And I guess the question that comes up into my mind is, how do you manage to do that whilst retaining your authenticity?
So, okay, pretty easy answer. I always did it with paying money. Like, he's way better. I think I can learn from him. I pay money. In what way? There's like different ways. Like long-term deals where I cut profits, so they make money out of this, and it's in there that they want me to be better, so they make more profits.
So they'll coach you.
Yeah, they coach me, for example, or I pay for coaching. So there are ways without, but I have like Julian Thomas, German friend, we hang out a lot in Vienna, and I think he's in a theoretical way really good, really world-class poker player. We hang a lot. We talk poker, and I can learn from him. You know, he's isn't in the live scene as much as me, so he's more like one of the online player who's not traveling as much, wants to stay at Vienna a lot. But we hang out a lot, and we're friends. We like each other, and it's fine for him to tell me whatever he knows, and it's fine for me as well if he plays a lineup with live poker players, I will tell him what I know about them. You know, I'm not holding back something. You know, it's just being friends.
You spoke a little bit there about some of the values that are important to you in life, family being one of them that come out. What other values are important to you in life that guide your decision making?
Integrity, I think, is something which I think I didn't even know the word, but I basically lived my life based on that word. Like that was, yeah, like I think I was 11, 12, 13, and I realized already that I want to do what I say, you know. I'm not saying something and then I do it the other way around. So I think this is like something which is important to me.
Can you remember the last time that you did something that fell out of alignment with integrity? Because normally when integrity is a real core value, when you realize, boom, okay, I'm not living in my life in line with integrity right now.
It is a struggle, you know. It's not easy to like. There are always situations where you might deviate a little bit from it, but like in the core life situations where it is about integrity, I think I really try. So I really try hard.
Humility also seems an important one to you. I mean, I had a very brief conversation with you over breakfast yesterday and asked you why you weren't playing, and you were talking about the quality of the field. Yeah. And I was joking with you saying, come on Dietrich, at a Triton event everybody's good, but you were quite level-headed about where you are and where you sit in the poker world.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think like 2016 and 2017 were kind of overwhelming years for me, where I just went from one tournament to the next and I had no losing.
Yeah.
I didn't lose money. I don't like, there was just either I won a trophy or some of my friends won a trophy and I got a piece. So it was just getting more money and winning trip. And I was a little bit, I would say, overconfident, you know. So and then winning the 2 million in Asia, right? Didn't help being a little bit more calm, you know. I was probably a little bit too aggressive as well, like pretending to be at the top. For sure wasn't at the top, you know. There are other players which were better back then and are now. So I've realized that there are other players who are better players, and as soon as you realize that, you need to pick your spots. You can't just play every tournament. Only the very best poker player in the world, and it's just one, no one knows who it is, can sit down and play a tournament, and no matter who comes, you know. Because if there's the second best player and no one else sits, the second best player will lose to the first one. It's a heads-up tournament, and usually stuff like that doesn't happen. But if this would be the case, you know, so there's only one player in the world who can sit down. And of course there are so many, like me being big ego 2017, there are so many players which have such an ego that they just sit down, they don't care about who's the best or who's not. If there's no recreational player showing up, they still play because they have an ego and they think they make money, but they don't. And I don't know who is the best and who is the worst in this list. I just know I'm not the best, I'm not the second best, I'm somewhere maybe on 37th place, you know, or whatever. I don't know, you know, it's fine.
So when you're winning the titles and you're winning the money and you start to believe your own hype a little bit, how do you get back to being Dietrich Fast? Did anyone help you or did something happen?
I think 2018 was just not as 2017 or 2016. I think that helped a lot. Like, don't win trophies. That was the first year I didn't win a trophy. I won 2015, 16, 17, always I won trophies. I didn't win any tournament. And I don't think I made had a profit year, so that was another thing. And so I was, and I mean, yeah, and then there was the Bitcoin hype as well, right? So you're just loving life, you know. Every poker player loves life. Like I was in Aussie Millions 2018. Man, I saw faces from 2008 or something. They never showed up since then, and now they got rich from Bitcoin, and they showed up, and it was awesome. The fields were like Aussie Millions, 25k, high roller, was super soft because all these people wanted to play because they had the money. And think so that like the crypto stuff went down, and then I didn't win any money in the year, and then you start to rethink, you know. You always think, yeah, you do evaluate, like, even if you're winning, but I think you don't as much as you do when you're losing. So that's when I started to realize, all right, back to work.
When you're being so successful with everything, the poker, the Bitcoin, everything, and you're a part of a really strong, I'll call the word a stable, but they're friends, right? Do you tend to drift away from them and isolate yourself when you're really successful and then go back to them in 2018 when you need them? Or are they always and ever present in your life?
I mean, I worked, in that period of my time, I worked as well. It's not that I didn't work, but there's like different ways of working, like just doing one small hand review session and one coaching, you know, and yeah, for 3-4 hours, or you really work, you know. You sit down and open the softwares and really go deep into it.
Do the work. What's your thoughts on purpose? Like, does Dietrich Fast have a purpose in life?
So that's a big question, and I think these questions, I think almost all humans don't know, because it's a tough question to answer. It's just like, I think I know that it's important for me that I have a goal, and for me, like the way I want to, like the way until I reach the goal, this is what I gain the most value out of life. That's how I see it right now. As soon as I achieve the goal, there's like a big hole, you know, so you don't know what to do next, so you need to set another goal. And I think then you have another way to go, and you have to work, and you have to do something to achieve that. And I think this is like the way to go. That's the answer I have right now. Maybe in 5 to 10 years I'm smarter about that. I don't know.
What are some of the goals that you are currently working on or you want to attain by the end of 2019?
2019 is all about poker. There's so much coming up. I almost can't breathe. I have almost no breaks. So I will work a lot, especially live poker wise. But I think in the beginning of 2019, I had a session with someone in Vienna who's doing this, like helping businesses to restructure their, like the bosses and how they interact, you know, like if they have like a CFO and CEO and whatever, and to like, or if there are two companies merging and stuff. So he's like someone who is really into helping these companies to merge, for example. Yeah. And so he's super smart and has a lot of connections. So I had a meeting with him. And wanted to know, like wrote down my qualities and what I think I can do good, where I'm really bad at, having a boss, for example, right? And so what could be like something I could do after poker?
I was going to ask you, why do you play poker? It seems like an obvious question to ask, but it's not really. I mean, why are you playing?
I mean, I remember every morning I went to the college. I mean, it's a university, but the Americans say college, right? So every morning I went on the train, and in the train I had I think I had 35 minutes, and I didn't want to waste time. So every 35 minutes I read 1-2 articles about poker and write down stuff I think is important. And I was not winning money at that time. That is 2007 or 8 or something. And I just worked my ass off, even though I didn't really, at that time, I didn't really gain value out of it. But now, remember this stuff. That's why you did it, because now, why you wanted to be there where I'm right now, right? Yeah. So that I'm not as spoiled as others now. I remember exactly what I did back then. So I enjoy playing poker. I still enjoy it, and I love the game. I know I will play WSOP main event 2035. You know.
Yeah.
So it's just I just want to decrease the amount. You know, decrease it, because if there's other stuff important as well. Like so many poker players now getting married, getting kids, and I think I'm right now in a position where I might want to have a family and want to have a wife, and so this poker lifestyle doesn't suit as well as other jobs.
How do you think that your career in poker is going to help you? What are the things you've learned about poker that are going to help you actually be successful at leaving poker and creating a really solid income and a lifestyle that you love, which is equally balanced with your family life?
I think finding out where the value comes from. Like a question a lot of poker players don't ask themselves is, if I play this hand this way, why does it make me more value than the other way, right? Some decisions are easy. You have pocket aces, you raise. You don't ask yourself because you know this is the best one, right? But let's say you have pocket aces with 15 big blinds. People start limping with that, you know? Now you have, if you never saw that before, you will think, oh, wow, that's a bad play. Why isn't he raising, right? But then other people started to actually ask themselves, why would you raise? Maybe a limp gains more value, right? And this is just a small poker thing, but I think if you see it in a big picture, wherever, in every company in this world, people won't push edges as much as poker players, right? That's what we learn, like pushing edges, and I think that's one big factor, which I always try to push edges, and we are really
strategies.
Yeah, like using all these strategies, math, for example, psychology as well. So there's a lot of different factors which gain these edges we're trying to push.
On that, just expanding a little bit more as we finish here, when you look around at your group of friends and your peers as well, what are the personality traits and the unique characteristics that you see that really stand out at poker players at the highest level?
Now there are these softwares, right? But I think every one of these poker players who got successful, they didn't have the software. So they had to figure out, what is the other guy up to? Who is he? Where is he from? What is he thinking? What is he thinking about me? Is he thinking something about me, what I could think about him, you know? Like it goes so many levels. If you are just better in stuff like that as your opponent, you will beat him. You just need to be 1 or 2 steps ahead and you will beat them. And if you're not, you're most likely too weak in this industry and you won't be a world-class poker player and you won't be able to get that to the top.
So is the influx of software likely to people forget about that equally important, part of the game?
I mean, the software helped a lot to see obvious leaks, right? Where top-class poker players deviated super wide from the optimal play against an optimal player. So we learned a lot of fundamentals, but if you look around, there are so many non-GTO players who still crush the games. For example, Bryn Kenny, Default Dwyer. Online, there's almost no one who's playing GTO-based style. They are all trying to figure out what is my opponent up to, and I will crush him because I know what they know, and I know better.
I like that. And finally, how does playing high-stakes poker make you feel?
To be honest, nothing. I know there are so many poker players who are enjoying it way more because it's just like 50 players, everyone knows everyone, and they have a lot of nice conversations. But first of all, this is my job, right? So this is business. If I'm comparing. I have this opportunity or this. Which one is the better business solution for me? You know, I want to push edges, and I'm not only pushing edges when I play a hand. I push edges when I do business decisions as well. So I'm sure there are people out there who think, all right, I can play a shitty 1K somewhere or a good 25K. I make more money in the 1K, but I still want to play the 25K just because I enjoy it way more. Maybe there's some free food, you know, but that's not. I can have fun with in the 1K as well.
Yeah.
Like there's, I remember one occasion last year in Vegas. There's the Area 24K, I think. There was no amateur at all. There were only regs, 15 or 18. I went to the win and I played with John Morgan. I had the fun of my life. Like he's one of the best. I don't know if you know him. He's such a nice guy. He's a little bit older guy who's made his way super rich, and he's just. It's just fun to play with him. Talk to him. He's a wisdom as well. He knows so much, and it's awesome. Like and. If you're stuck in the area, yeah, you can talk to the same people day and night, yeah, but there are other people in the world as well, and you can see other characters and learn from them as well.
Dietrich, thank you very much for being so open and talking to us on I Am High Stakes Poker. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you. I am Dietrich Fast, and I am High Stakes Poker.